Alright, and we're back. Game 2 of Night Raid taking on Ride My Rocket. Game 1 going very poorly for Night Raid, but we'll see if they can pull something. we'll see if they can pull something out in Game 2. And they're all the way through the okay, because this is a remade game. I was wondering why they're moving so fast, but so we won't have to analyze bans or pick order whatsoever. We'll just be looking at what heroes they've selected. But looks like Drunken Master, Magnus, Tempest, Pyromancer, and Valkyrie on the RmR side. So I'm liking a lot of that draft, except for one part. And maybe those of you who have watched a lot of my casts before can guess what it is. But Hellborn going to go with Kraken, Corrupted Disciple, Monkey King, Glacius, and Rhapsody. Yeah, mentioning the Monkey King pick right there, obviously. Mickey, a very good Monkey King player, and Flensmeister's actually played it once in Season 3 as well, but I believe those are the only two to have picked it up so far. And we'll see how it does right here for Night Raid's team. Going to be in Cookie's hands this time around, so the late game potential of this Hellborn side quite good between CD and Monkey King, both solid carries actually. CD a bit more of a mid-game carry, but definitely one that can scale pretty well into the late game and can hold his own against heroes like Valkyrie. Cookie's going to provide some more backup support, so you'd think as this game would go on, things would definitely be in favor of the Hellborn team. They also have a 2 support lineup, and they're going to run a 2-1-2 lane situation, it looks like even, so I'd like to see a lot of stacking as well from the Hellborn side. Obviously they have a lot of farm that needs to go around, so early and often stacking of hard camps, medium camps, ancients is going to be extremely important if they want to get a sufficient amount of gold on both of these hard carries, as well as Kraken, who is not a zero farm initiator. He needs his portal key, and he often wants more than just that. And you look at the Legion side, he's probably very much going to want a Shrunken Head. Tempest, Magnus, Pyromancer, and Valkyrie, a lot of their damage, especially in the early going, is magical, so if he can get a PK into a Shrunken, I think he's going to be able to survive a lot in these team fights. Drunken Master obviously won't give two shits about that Shrunken Head, but alright, we can deal with that. So that's going to lead into the Legion team. They're looking at the DM, Mag, Tempest, Pyro, and Valkyrie, so a little bit of incongruity there. Tempest and Magnus, I think, are two heroes that have a lot of synergy. Magnus always gets a PK, Tempest sometimes does, and despite the fact that Tempest doesn't always have a portal key, they can often work well together, with Magnus initiating, Tempest stun working very well on top of a Magnus Lava Surge. Obviously their ults combo extremely well. They both push fairly well with the Volcanic Touch and the Tempest Elemental, so I think those are two heroes that work very well on the same team. And Drunken, Pyro, and Valkyrie, though, are kind of more single target oriented stuff. Obviously Pyromancer with that ultimate is only going to be able to destroy one hero in terms of the burst, and Dragonfire, it's usually difficult to land that stun on more than 2 heroes, and 2 is also generally pretty optimistic. At this level of play, you're going to see it a lot, but it's not necessarily something that you can do every single time. Drunken Master, of course, entirely a single target hero, so I'm not sure if they, you know, are like, now we have AoE damage and single target damage, or if they're like, we don't have enough of either. We'll see as this game goes on. I mean, they definitely have the potential to say, you know, Drunken and Pyro maybe you're going to go out and gank while Valkyrie free farms, and Tempest and Magnus look for teamfight initiations and pushes and stuff like that. So that's all sorts of potential between those two. But then again, you look at a Drunken Master, it's a hero I really just don't like. I mean, he doesn't win games, and it's hard to argue against the fact that he doesn't win games, because he doesn't win games, and most of the good teams pick him. And I don't think it's really an issue of him facing the wrong teams or being picked by the wrong teams. And the other thing is, obviously, if a good team isn't picking a hero, then there's probably a reason for that anyway. Speaking of Drunken Master, is he going to die? Yeah, he's going to die. So Misery going to pick up the Bloodlust right there. By the way, Misery getting back in here for Night Raid, as he missed a lot of this cycle, I believe. This might be the first game he's played all the way in the Losers Bracket Round 4, so missing the vast majority of Cycle 6. And he'll be slotting back into the captain spot, and they are going to drop Echo X right here, so I think a number of players on much more comfortable roles. Misery, their typical mid-initiator type player. King Player, their typical carry. Cookie's more of their suicide. Nightmare's definitely a support. We saw him playing the suicide Pharaoh last game. and it was a role in which he did not look particularly comfortable. He's a very good Glacius, so we'll see if that makes a significant difference here. My guess is it will, and once again, Drunken in a lot of trouble. Will he fall? No, he won't. Actually disjoints that auto attack from Glacius. I don't think that he would have died to it anyway, but still worth avoiding the damage, of course. And Kraken going to take a health potion right here, and Pingu is just having a really hard time in this bottom lane. Get the freeze down there as well. The drink charge is going to give him some more life, but actually he's going to work himself into a corner and die. So yeah, it's difficult to find the angle of escape right there. As I was talking about, Nightmare is a very good Glacius player, finding the perfect angle for that fight, and taking a pretty easy kill on Pingu once again. So this Drunken Master is having a lot of trouble in the bottom lane, and Misery now approaching 500 GPM. So stop me if you've heard this before, we have a dual lane on the Hellborn team that is absolutely crushing the opposing team's solo short lane, and we'll see if the Legion side choose to rotate a support over like Night Raid did last game. But at this point, they're like, well, you can snowball with the Strength Initiator, so can we. We're going to do it with Kraken, you do it with Ravener, but it's going to be the same effect, we hope, at the very least. And I think Pingu just going to have difficulty having an impact on this game. And Drunken Master, another slightly snowball hero, not to the same degree as a lot of heroes, but if he gets going early on, he can really be hard to stop. So he is not going to be able to take off, and that's going to severely limit the Legion side's ability to take mid-game team fights, as they're going to be reliant on his damage output, which can be substantial if he gets off with the right items. It's probably just not going to happen here. But enough about the bottom lane. We also have a mid lane, which is in fact Monkey King versus Rhapsody. Monkey King with some interesting spell usage right there, but Cookie's a known Monkey King player, so definitely has a lot of experience with this hero, and wouldn't be surprised to see him do quite well with it. Has 250 GPM right here, which isn't the greatest. Q-Zane at 285, so definitely doing better, and no doubt that Volcanic Touch is a big reason why. Obviously, Monkey King a melee hero, so if he's in range while Magnus is getting last hits, he's going to take some pretty good harass damage. And being backed up here by Pyromancer, Tempest is actually rotating over, as is Glacius, so we sort of have a 3 versus 3 right now, and whichever team realizes they have the better initiation is going to get off to a better start. They know Glacius picked up that Invisor, I guess, but he's just outside of this Ward of Sight, so they can't see where he is. Obviously, there's a Ward of Sight down here that's spawning that rotation, but there's the initiation. Q-Zane going to die from this at the beginning of that, so let's go back and see who takes the jump first. It's going to be Glacius with the freeze onto Magma. It's going to get flipped back, and he'll be easily killed. Maybe another Heavenly Vault. Not even going to be necessary. Nightmare's picking up a second kill, so Saint Rock's getting a kill. Nightmare's getting a kill, and a very successful rotation from Nightmare's on that Glacius, once again showing that he's very competent on Glacius. And Staff choosing to depart at more or less the exact wrong time. I don't think that they would have gotten any saves right there on those two heroes, but they perhaps could have gotten some counter kills. Meanwhile, he's actually out of mana right here, and we see some possible rotation from the Hellborn supports into the hard camp. They don't want to get too deep though, so it looks like he will be okay. And Nightmare is fully aware that Misery can hold his own in this bottom lane with the lead that's been spotted to him, so there's really no reason for him to just hang out down here and waste his time. And in the lane, they're going to jump onto Cookies right here. They actually have a pretty nice stomp combo. There's some good burst damage, but again, the dash away, elusive dash, and Cookies, Monkey King, very difficult hero to kill. Tempest will be able to finish off his Ring of Sorcery right here. That is the preferred build for me. Can be very helpful for not only yourself, but your team. And you have a lot of heavy magic or mana users on this Legion side, and not especially high amounts of mana regen, including on the int-based Pyromancer. You can have a lot of spammable spells, so having that mana ring is going to be very helpful for his team, as well as himself, of course. And actually, Magma's going to miss a Lava Surge right here. He's going to eat some Staccato stuns, as well as additional stuns. 1.7 second arrow on Cookies is not going to matter. Q-Zane is definitely going to die. Yeah, Thunder Blast finishes him off, and Cookies can actually... That was an interesting Heavenly Vault. I don't think it did what he meant it to do, which was go over the cliff, but he's still going to survive, so who cares? Seems like he's not reacting all that fast, to be honest. And you kind of have to do that if you're playing Monkey King, but oh well. Top lane, another lane we haven't mentioned at all, but it's going to be the Corrupted Disciple by himself going up against the Suicide Valkyrie, and this is a lane I would expect CD to win, but not quite as hard as he actually is right now. 160 GPM on the Suicide Valk, and 360 on King Plato, so absolutely dominating the Suicide Valkyrie right here. And Valkyrie hero I'm a big fan of, to be honest. I think she does have suicide potential. Obviously she has the Leap, which is a great spell, and the potential to go gank other lanes with both her arrow and her Call of the Valkyrie, as well as potentially her ultimate, which can create a lot of havoc around the map.
Might be for hurting.
When used appropriately, of course. So, not having the greatest start right here, but we'll see what kind of impact she can have later in the game. King Plato definitely feeling a lot more comfortable this time around than the last game, actually nearly getting a kill on Cookies right there, so trying to return the favor a little bit, as Cookies destroyed him in that Magnus versus Silhouette matchup of Game 1. And this time, King Plato looking to turn the tables, and so far has been quite successful in that. So, 5-0 Hero advantage for the guys on Night Raid so far. Obviously, a huge part of that was that bottom lane where they picked up 2 early kills on Drunken Master, but of course the initiation in the middle as well, also good. And Magnus once again getting a jump. He's going to Lava Surge away, and actually he will be fine. So the Staccato Sun's not good enough to lock him down for a sufficient period of time and actually get that kill. Haster in the top lane will be bottled by Magnus. And they're going to activate the Valkyrie Prism here as well. Corrupted Disciple, no escape mechanism. You're real dead, buddy. Cookies gets to finish off with the arrow. And hey, look at that. Once again, Cookies is killing King Plato. So even a lane where Plato had a massive CS advantage and still has a pretty good GPM lead, it's the rotations that are once again proving to be a pretty significant problem for him. And then Hasted Magnus going to hang around in the middle lane once again, as he's actually lost the farm lead to Cookies. No huge surprise there, considering he's died twice, and all of the aggression that's come through as Glacius has been able to leave this bottom lane. So that one lane in bottom allowed them to win mid too, and that's the sign of some good play, because it's pretty easy to just not move at all. Actually, they're going to completely fail that initiation. Tempest coming in as well. Has a Tempest Hole, looking for it. Release the Kraken right on his face, though, and they're going to counter this pretty damn hard. Tempest now trying to get away. He won't, because Drunken Master pushes Kraken right back into him. That was a terrible play. I'm sorry, Pingu, but that was the wrong thing to do. Now he's going to get charged back and get killed. Meanwhile, middle lane, all sorts of stuff is happening. So let's go back and check this out. 2-man initiation right there on top of Dragonfire, and a double-man eruption. Rhapsody's ultimate doing almost nothing as Cookies cannot get away. So a really nice initiation and follow-up there from Q-Zane and the Forgotten One, playing the Pyromancer. And they will get themselves right back on the board. So 3-7 hero kill advantage here for the Night Raid side, which is not exactly the opposite of last game, but definitely quite different. Kraken has a portal key sub 10 minutes on top of his Steam Boots bottle vestments, so safe to say he's snowballing pretty damn hard, just under 500 GPM, and absolutely crushing this game. So Night Raid looking a lot more competent when Misery is back and playing well. Not a huge surprise by any means. And very much in control of this game, of course. They not only have a late game, but they have a pretty good early game advantage that should be able to see them through what could potentially be some mid-game difficulties, especially with the Valkyrie and the Drunken Master. But since neither of them have any sort of farm, and in fact nobody on the Legion side really has any sort of farm, the 265 GPM on the Magnus being the only one that's even got anything close to respectable. And then you look at the Hellborn side, and they have 2 heroes farming at 300 plus already. Ancient's going to be triple stacked presumably here, and like to see that, of course. Actually, they already are triple stacked. What are you even talking about? They use the Glacial Downpour to do a lot of damage to them. Nightmare's picking up 1 kill, and presumably the rest will be going to Cookies right here to try to increase his farm, get him on par with King Plato and maybe even Misery at some point, and he will gladly do so as he massively boosts his GPM. Kraken getting caught out by 4 heroes in the bottom lane. He's going to try to charge away, but unsuccessful in doing so. And the stun rotation there is absolutely ridiculous. You obviously see the Legion side has stuns on every single one of their heroes. And if you consider Tempest Hole a stun, which it more or less is, consider 6 stuns for 5 heroes, it's not bad at all. I'm going to DC. Okay, sure, can. I don't know, maybe Znoe had some problems with his stream. Possible. Znawi. Sorry, Znawi. I think it is. I've asked him before, and I got an answer, and I think I was pronouncing it correctly for a while, but yeah, it doesn't work very well for me anyway. Monkey King gonna get jumped, but the counter with the release of Kraken, Blazing Strike is there. It's not going to be able to finish off the MK, But Kraken can't actually get the finish on Magnus either. The charge just didn't work very well. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, or top lane, Cookies will deny a tower. He's actually getting pushed back as well as Glacius comes in looking for some more damage but can't find it. So both teams with some decent initiation, but in the end nobody dies. Looking at the item progression here, Corrupted Disciple, interesting kill on the Illusion Rune there for staff. I don't really know why. Wanted to get out. There's a Glacial Blast as well, and Kraken will be forced to back off. Yeah, so speaking of him, he's got a Portal Key, as I mentioned before. Hasn't picked up anything since that, so unfortunate that he hasn't been able to find kills with it, but sometimes stuff happens. By the way, Quick Blade gets picked up by the Corrupted Disciple, so presumably that will be a Firebrand. Obviously a strong item on him. Already has move speed bonuses, and this is going to make him even faster. He's one of the hardest to catch heroes in the game as a result of his passive and his typical item builds, which often involve attack speed and movement speed. Monkey King going for the Ghost Marchers here and has a Soul Scream ring on top of it, so my guess is at some point he will be picking up an Energizer. Obviously, again, additional move speed, very valuable for that hero. You want to be able to move around the map as quickly as possible, and of course his Nimbus Cloud helps him with that. Kraken has, Glacius has Naked Steam Boots and a Ward. And presumably will be accumulating more items as he gets more stuff. Says I wasn't available to mobile devices. That's interesting. I hope I'm available to mobile devices. I'd like to be available to mobile devices. I don't know why I wouldn't be. I can start it up on my own phone and see what Twitch has to say about that. Anyway, in the bottom lane, they're going to be just cracking right on Drunken Master's face, and he's not getting out of that one. Tries to stagger away, but yeah, too much damage. Misery finishing off that kill. So once again, Pingu going to die in the bottom lane, and once again, it's sad times for the Legion team as they really, really, really need to get him some farm. Middle lane, Cookies completely falls because I was again looking at my phone, but yeah, solo casting, go back to look at that. Initiation actually must have been on him as Magnus is very low. Gets countered though by the multiple stuns of the Legion side. And, oh, okay, good. Apparently I am available on mobile devices. Oh well. Firebrand will be finished off by Corrupted Disciple. He's got a quick play on top of that, so I don't know. Oh, it's a staff. Okay, that's what it is. Nope, never mind, it's a recipe. So, alright. Actually, I do hope he goes staff, so that's supposedly leading to my next point. I hope that he gets a staff as his next item. He's going to be very fast, and obviously the bouncing on these Legion heroes is going to do a ton of work. Non-targeted, which means it will go through Drunken Master's Untouchable and make him a lot easier to kill, especially with that natural magic or natural damage reduction he gets. And Legion side's items. Astrolabe is the choice for this Tempest. It's going to be a little bit late as he's only at 260 GPM. There's the initiation for the Valkyrie Prism. They're going to try to go for Misery right here. Dragonfire Stun hits him. He's going to get pulled out of the Rhapsody ultimate, but it actually does mitigate a fair bit of damage. Now Rhapsody could be the one in trouble. Yeah, she's going to eat an arrow as well as a staff Glacial Blast, I believe, right there. So it will be Tempest picking up that kill. He still does not have an Astrolabe quite yet. He's by the recipe right there, but this is nonetheless going to be a bottom tier 1 tower kill from the Legion side. So they've decided that it's their opportunity to group up and get some kills. Obviously, they're pretty far down in golden experience, but this can quickly rectify that situation. They get easy tower picks, and all of a sudden they're right back in this. So I like the decision making here from the guys on RmR. I don't think the Hellborn really want to fight right now. They don't have too much in the way of team fight, and a couple of things they have used already are the Glacial Downpour and the Rhapsody Ultimate. And it's with those two things down, it's gonna be harder to take 5-on-5 engagements. They will get backed off here from the tier 2, but it's actually pretty close to dying, and wouldn't be surprised to see them group up quickly as they have all of their ultimates available except for the Valkyrie Prism, and with the brand new Astrolabe on Tempest, nice TP away from Firemancer. With brand new Astrolabe on Tempest, they should really be looking to take a team fight right here and get some value out of that 200 health heal. Valkyrie, Ghost Marchers, and Soul Scream Ring, so presumably she's going for the Energizer as well. And again, heavy mobility on this team also. Obviously, Drunken Master or the portal keys all over the place, the leap. You're going to want these heroes to be able to move around quickly, get in and out of fights, and that Energizer will help very much. Lane Kraken going to get jumped on with a Lava Surge right there. I don't think they really have enough. Yeah, the Vestments make it so that he just doesn't take any damage. Release the Kraken actually Pyromancer will walk into it, gets a stun on the Glacius, doesn't matter, the Forgotten One kind of sacrifices his life as Magnus manages to get away. I think Magnus was probably fine anyway, so if Pyromancer was thinking he was being noble, I think it was mostly just an instance of an unnecessary death, but I think he was probably dead anyway, so I'm not really going to berate him too much for that one. Magnus, by the way, does get his portal key, so 285 GPM has a PK with some slightly late timing, but not terrible, especially considering the Legion team has mostly been shut down this game. Really, much like last game where RmR won all of their lanes, this time it's Night Raid winning all of their lanes. And as we saw last game, that usually lends itself to some pretty nice things. Triple Stacked Ancient's going to be stolen here by the guys on Night Raid. They will be able to PK out as well. There's an Invis Ward right there, spawning out the Tempest, but it doesn't look like it'll matter for Night Raid or for Nightmares as he gets picked off by the multiple stuns. Those are doing a lot of damage. And by the way, this, there's a forum post maybe a few months ago that was asking about drafting advice for Captain's Pick, and this was one of the suggestions actually. Corrupted Disciple could be in some trouble. Activates his ultimate 2-man stun right there as Rhapsody's staying in a bit of a weird position. She's going to eat most of the damage. Actually, the arrow's not going to connect thanks to Blazing Strike. The Forgotten One going to take the death as a result. Corrupted Disciple could still be in some trouble. Yeah, he's still pretty low. Lava Surge actually not going to be there as they finish off the Magnus, and all of a sudden the Legion side's heroes are going to be falling relatively quickly. Valkyrie trying to finish off the Corrupted, but he's moving in and out of this fight too fast. Astrolabe going to help them heal up a little bit, but all of a sudden Night Raid does not want to be fighting this anymore. Staff is trying to hide in the woods, but they're going to spot him is my guess. He's actually found a really good juke spot, and he has a TP. He's going to use it to get out of there, but apparently Cookies didn't get the memo because he's jumping back in onto the Glacius, and that was just a misplay from Valkyrie. So, as you can see, both Pingu and Staff were well gone, and Cookies trying to jump in on the Glacius and get a free kill, but not a good plan. Pays for it, and in the end, the Hellborn team do come out ahead. Meanwhile, actually, they're going to get the jump onto Drunken Master here, who is pretty damn squishy when you put a farmed Monkey King and a really farmed Kraken up against him, and especially when he's on a full health. So it's going to be yet another death for Pingu, who's 0-5-2, 250 gold per minute, and that's just not good times here. He has finished up Steam Boots, and he has a Ringmail and a Mighty Blade, so those are the makings of two different items. I don't know if he wants a Barbed Armor, or if he wants a Soul's Bulwark, or if he wants a Shrunken Head, and maybe he doesn't know either. But I really, really hope it's not a Shrunken. There is some magic damage with this Hellborn team, but they are the vast majority of them, at least, as physical, so I feel like a Soul's Bulwark, even a defensive one, could be extremely important, including considering this Corrupted Disciple will, like I said, at some point get a staff, most likely. So you're probably looking at armor reduction as well as a ridiculous amount of physical damage in general. Between that and the Torrent and Monkey King's abilities, you're probably going to do that. Oh, what was I going to say about drafting? Yes, there was a forum post a while ago, and there was some advice, especially for mid to lower tier captains, that's like, look, if you don't know how to draft, draft stuns, because this is why, right here. Cookie's getting locked down by 2 stuns. Actually, Arrow hits on top of the Ancient, and is he going to get away? Yes, he is. Uses the Vault over the Wanjin Slam to get on out of there. And it looks like Kraken trying for some counter initiation here, but he won't find it, and I'd say that's decent advice, to be honest. If you don't know how to draft, and you don't know what heroes to draft, and your team is limited in the heroes they can pick, draft stuns, because stuns are easy to play with, and stuns do a lot of damage, and stuns prevent other people from doing things to you. They're going to find this Drunken Master. The Valkyrie Prism is active, though, and I was wondering how they could see him. The answer is they can't. It was the Fade time that gave him some vision. And Drunken actually going to leap out of there. All of a sudden, he's in a lot of trouble. Pops the Untouchable. It's going to eat the Torrent, actually. Charge also misses, but there's 4 heroes here. And there's just no situation that leads to Drunken Master living. So Pingu going to take his 6th death of the game. Meanwhile, the Forgotten One dropping once again. So I saw that as well. And it will be the finish off. Glacius looking for this kill. The last auto attack does kill him, and that's how that ends. It's like, and we'll be able to find the counter, though. And it's going to be a support for a support in that sense. Worf. Nice. So I'm not trying to suggest in any manner that Pingu doesn't know what he's doing when it comes to drafting, but I think you can see the viability of that strategy in this game actually fairly well. I mean, the Hellborn team lost all of their lanes, and they're still losing pretty damn hard, but they're winning some of these engagements, and they're getting pickoffs here and there, and it's mostly just because they can keep people stun locked for a really long time. If they get 3, maybe even 4 heroes in on a kill, it's impossible to get away. So in that sense, you can definitely see that philosophy sort of paying off right here for RmR, regardless of that whether that was actually their philosophy. And here you go, see, stuns just all over the place. And what can Kraken do against this? He gets hit with a Lava Surge, he gets hits with a Glacial Blast, and then the arrow, and then more Glacial Blast stuns, and it's like he can't move. So it's a 1 versus 3, and there's no situation in which he's going to get out of that because he can't use his evasive abilities to survive. So he dies. And yeah, that's what happens. So for all of you Bronze Division captains who are watching this game and have no clue what heroes you're picking, don't pick Drunken Master, don't pick Aluna, pick stuns. I realize that both of those heroes have stuns, but there are other heroes with stuns too. You should pick them. Like Rhapsody. Rhapsody's a good hero. Maybe not, but I want to believe. Anyway, they're going to be able to catch Glacius right here, so we're talking about stuns. Boom. Cookies blows him up with an arrow. And the catch potential and the kill potential of Team with Stuns is very good. So let's stop talking about stuns right now because I've spent enough time on that subject. Look at the items across the board. Magnus has picked up his portal key as well as a push book, so his farm's gotten much better. 325 GPM, and he actually leads his team. He is behind 3 cores on the Hellborn side, but let's not worry about that for now. Qzane with some nice item choices. Obviously, Tablet very effective against Kraken, but also quite effective against Glacius as well, and Monkey King for that matter. Because if Monkey King can't catch you, he finds a lot of difficulty in killing you, and he really wants to keep you in the same sort of range for all of his abilities for a long time. To yeah, Stu, this is why I need co-casters, because I get stuck on a topic and I forget to talk about other things, but there are items, so let's keep on that. Actually, Kraken, gonna find the initiation of Pyro here. We got more portal keys on the Hellborn side. Rhapsody did pick one up. Anyway, gonna be a 2-man Tempest Hole right there. Valkyrie Prism active as the Eruption goes through, as well as we try to get some counter kills. Saint Rox is gonna be a 1-for-1 support, and there goes the Nightmares kill, so Corrupted Disciple, all of a sudden, he wants some more. Valkyrie Prism still active, though, so they could just run away from this. Arrow going to be completely whiffed. And Corrupted Disciple now getting chased down as the stun rotation is going to start to go through from this Hellborn side. Corrupted Disciple in a lot of trouble. He will die. Misery did manage to finish off the Tempest in the background as he jumped back in, but all of a sudden, he could be in some trouble. Gets the charge forward. Monkey King now joining the fight as heroes, it seems like, are coming out of the woodwork all over the place. Misery will get the finish on a Pingu, and he actually might get out of this. There's no more mana left on Magnus. They can't find the last auto attack. Misery somehow juking around here. Gets the kill on the Cookies. What a player. And he will get out of there no problem. That's a top 5 right there. I'm putting that on the Scumbag Network submission list thing. Yeah, I'm going for it, man. That was a hell of a play from Misery. I mean, he's doing really well as far as the items go, but he was at the point where if he got hit by one more auto attack, he was going to die. And, that's just... That was some pretty good play. Anyway, speaking of those portal keys all over the place, they will get the Scatos onto Magnus right there, but he'll be able to get out. Pyromancer finding a nice hiding spot in the trees, and the rest of the Hellborn team will run away. No real interest in continuing to hang out in Legion once it looks like they will be doing some dewarding as well, so... By the way, Tempest has finished off Steam Boots right here, which is fine. Look at the catch potential on the Hellborn side, and Ghost Marchers would likely have made him a little bit too squishy. Plated Greaves, I think, were a legitimate option, especially considering the armor bonus that they give and the fact that it doesn't seem like anybody else has any. No, they don't. So, to be honest, I actually would have preferred the Plated Greaves build on Tempest here. Obviously increases their pushing power. And nice, again with a good dewarding here from Nightmares. It's been very impressive. They just put a Word of Rev down, but it was trying to counter a Word of Sight. There was already a Word of Rev from Rhapsody, so they killed that. Not bad. Let's get the PK on out. Pingu can't catch anybody, so the supports on the Hellborn team doing some work right there. Getting all sorts of D-wards out of them, out of the Legion side. And the Forgotten One is solo supporting, which means it's much harder for him to keep his items up, as well as, you know, get wards down. He will finally pick these two off, but it costs him yet another Word of Revelation. Yeah, so... Thunderclaw, by the way, was the selection on Valkyrie. She's trying to get away from the jump of the Hellborn team. She will activate the Valkyrie Prism, and she should be just fine. Pyromancer taking this opportunity to kind of run around, and I would hope that nobody has dust or wards. I would imagine he's checked the inventories right there, but that's a little bit ballsy, because really, what are you going to accomplish? And and if for some reason they have vision of you, then you're dead. So that's a play I would prefer he not make, but he didn't really pay for it, so hard to criticize too much. Monkey King farming quite aggressively in the middle lane, getting a lot of CS with his abilities and using his heavy map mobility to get out as a result. He's nearing 400 GPM, a mark that Misery and Plato have both crossed. Misery's actually, his farm is decreasing, of course, as he was closer to 500 GPM early on in this game. He has picked up a Shrunken Head. As you see, the good amount of magical damage in the Legion side, as I was mentioning before. Early Shrunken from Misery is going to make him more or less unkillable in these fights. Between the Soul's Bulwark and the Shrunken Head, and the Charge and the Portal Key, I just don't see him dying, to be honest. By the way, Frostburn was the finished Uncorrupted Disciple, and he'll be working on his Shrunken next, so must have a similar thought process to Misery right here. There's a lot of magic damage, and I don't want to eat a lot of it, so I'm going to keep myself alive. Monkey King is also working on a Shrunken Head, but he's actually on the Warhammer route here first, so I assume that's a Shrunken. It is theoretically possible, I suppose, it's either a Savage Mace or a Shieldbreaker, as with Cookies dies in the top lane. Gets caught out by 4 heroes right there, and unable to get away despite his typical ease with which he accomplishes that. And he also has a helm, so perhaps he's figuring, I don't need the Mighty Blade first, I'd actually rather have some damage, because I'm already quite tanky. Not quite tanky enough to survive that gank, but oh well. You do what you can. Meanwhile, Valkyrie Prism going to spot out the Glacius right there. Gets the dust off as everybody's dusted now. Release the Kraken. Does get hit on Magnus right there, but he tablets himself out. Corrupted Disciple looking for some initiation. Has his ultimate activated. Valkyrie Prism going to wear off right here as the Staccato's going to Drunken Master. Arrow going to miss everybody, but now CD's actually in the middle of everything. Activates his Shrunken Head. Eruption getting charged, but he actually gets jumped by Kraken first, who pops his Shrunken a little bit late, but still not too much damage taken. Qzane also going to die. And it's a 2-for-1 at this, or sorry, 1-for-1 at this point, as Monkey King is just still dead from the previous engagement. Pyromancer once again finding a pretty nice hiding spot, and it looks like he'll be able to get out of there. Has a teleport and should just leave right now. And instead he's going to try to come into the back, but a 2-man Tempest Hole, not going to be stopped. Drunken Master going to lock down the CD right there, but they missed the Dragon Firestone, not going to matter. Blazing Strike finishes him off. The Saint Rocks, or the Staff Ultimate didn't really seem to do too much, as neither of those heroes died. Misery finally gets taken out, but Rhapsody able to successfully get away. And in the end, I'd say the Legion side actually came out ahead on that one. The initial pick onto Cookies was quite good, and they took on 3 more hero kills. They lost the Tempest Ultimate, but it's fine. And they only dropped the hard support Pyro, as well as the Valkyrie. Actually, no, Cookies finally comes in. How the hell did he get all the way down there? Wow. Sucks to be you, Pingu. And he also won't be punished for that, looks like, as Magnus really shouldn't be able to get the damage to finish off this Monkey King, and definitely won't with Glacius hanging around. Actually, Magnus could be in some trouble here. Activates the Lava Surge though, and he also has the Haste, so he'll be just fine. We're running on out of that fight. Ancient's going to be stolen by Monkey King, it looks like. And so, Shrunken Heads finished just before those fight for 2 heroes, and that did a lot to keep Kraken and Corrupted Disciple up, of course. And they both eventually died, but only well after their Shrunkens were down. And the magic ability to the Legion side really did very little. Obviously, the Eruption did a decent amount of damage to Kraken because he didn't pop a Shrunken for a while for some reason, but other than that, it was difficult for them to really hit them particularly hard while these Shrunken Heads were up. Nice arrow from Valkyrie. Gets a CS. Not bad. Misery continuing to have a fantastic game at 11-3-7, 415 GPN, 2-man Lava Surge right there from Magnus. The Dragonfire will hit onto Cookies as they figure they can just kill the Glacius. Yep, they pretty much can. And all of a sudden it could be Monkey King, who is in some trouble. Blazing Strike, and that will be the last auto attack from the Tempest to finish him off. Release the Kraken, really not doing too much, but the Lava Surge misses as well. Arrow is going to connect onto Kraken. They pop the dust. Rhapsody ultimate there, saving a good bit of damage. Glacius coming back into this one as he didn't. No, he's dead. Well, it's not Glacius, that's Corrupted Disciple. Am I drunk? Oh well, Shrunken Head's finally getting popped right here, but only after both of these heroes are at half health. Cena now having to run away a little bit, and the physical damage is actually too much to keep him alive. By the way, Shrunken Head is also up on Drunken Master, and Misery all of a sudden having to get out of this fight. He will charge away, and Tempest can't find a sun, so Another one fight there for RmR as they take out 3 more heroes. They lose just the one in the hard support Pyromancer, and they'll definitely take that engagement. So Night Raid looking a little bit concerning all of a sudden, as the farm on them is just not continuing to take off. I don't know why. I mean, they're not getting the initiation they need to, despite the fact that they have a Portal Key on Kraken and a Monkey King. They should have the capacity to start these fights into their terms. The other thing they're not doing is popping Shrunken Heads. Like, Misery and King Plato have long duration Shrunken Heads right now. So, let's see, he's got, what, 8 seconds left on his? Yeah, 8 seconds on CD, 8 seconds, yeah, on Misery. So, both of them, despite that, are just not using their Shrunkens. I don't know. Yeah, that's true. Saint really hasn't been able to find the greatest initiations or saves here, despite the fact that he does have a Portal Key and an Astrolabe and an Ultimate, so a little bit disappointing. I think for him, I would imagine he doesn't have too much experience in Rhapsody, because I don't think he played a lot of second support when he was playing at Reason. They were usually running jungle lineups for him, so I don't know. But I mean, Nightmares, I think Nightmares is still doing a fair bit, and his impact earlier on in the game was considerable, so I don't want to flame him too much. But yeah, I don't think Saint is doing a ton right now. Anyway, Eruption to go through there, but the Shrunken Heads do get popped this time, so that Magmus ulti did almost nothing at all. Meanwhile, CD running off in the background with the Ward of Revelation, going to be able to chase down Staff. Magmus did fall to the rest of the team in near the Kongor pit. I didn't really feel like watching that because I figured it was preordained. And Arrow going to connect on the Kongor, so the Hellborn say thank you very much for helping us to kill that. We will take a token, and we're going to put it on Corrupted Disciple. I think early game Saint was fine. I think early game Nightmares was fantastic. I think he had a huge reason why they shut down that Drunken Master in the bottom lane, and a huge reason why Misery is 12, 3, and 8. I don't think we've seen too much overall impact from Saint Rocks in this game right now. And, I mean, to be fair, I don't think we've seen too much overall impact from Cookies in this game either. Arrow's actually going to connect right onto Kraken's face, so it doesn't look like they'll be following that up, but Cookies landing a nice little javelin right there. And they're going to continue to push this in the middle lane. Hellborn might be able to take a free tower right here. They're putting a Word of Rev down. The Legion know exactly where that is, so I don't know why you would do that. Wow. What a deny from Cookies. 5 heroes on there with a tower. He's like, wow. Anyway, they're going to get the jump right here on Saint Rocks once again, so no Ultimate or Ashley coming out from him. 2-man Lava Surge is there. They obviously do have the ward there. Tempest Hole going to lock people down, but the Release of Kraken eventually stops it. Nightmare is going to fall, as well as the Tempest. All of a sudden, Pingu in a lot of trouble. He's going to try to get out of there with the Stagger. Not going to be able to find it. Shrunken Head's going off all over the place, of course, but the stun from Magmus not doing too much as a result. Misery all of a sudden has 3 heroes on top of him as Magmus falls, but they're going to try to TP away. Arrow right in his face, and he's going to die. Looks like Rax will be finished off by the Monkey King and the Corrupted Disciple, but Monkey King actually could be in some trouble as he gets stunned out pretty effectively. Vault's there, but it's not going to matter. Cookies has the Call of the Valkyrie and will kill Cookies, so thanks so much for you bastards, but yeah, Corrupted Disciple actually could be in some trouble as well. He's fast, thanks to that Frostburn, and his natural move speed increases, but Drunken Master is also quite quick. The Energizer boost is going to help him out a lot. Arrow is not going to connect, but CD running with a decent path and a solid juke right there. Leap continues to increase the Legion side's move speed. They will finally find the stun on Drunken Master. The question is, do they have the final Fire Stun is going to miss right there. Rhapsody Ultimate going to save CD, get him out of there. Rap going to save her, pay for that herself. So they do kill Saint Rocks just after he resurrects, but he manages to get King Plato out of there. That was going to be a death without that Rhapsody Ultimate, so at the very least they've saved CD for long enough, and King Plato does have a buyback anyway, so, and a token for that matter, so actually that might not have been the worst thing in the world to just let him lose the token. Yeah, Cookies with a Z is the guy who plays Monkey King all the time. As you can see, he's playing Monkey King yet again in this game. And he was quite good previously. I still think he is pretty good. Maybe not as good before. This Night Raid team, I'm not sure how seriously they take the game, to be honest. They've had some pretty serious issues with just showing up for matches before, so my guess is they don't scrim a whole ton, at least not as a team. And Yeah, still have the individual talent to compete at a high level, but one of those teams where you think, man, if they would try, they'd be really good. Very BMG-esque in that manner. Or it's like, without trying, they can still play really well, and if they did try, you'd think they could be great, but they just don't want to for some reason. Although apparently they're changing for BMG, so that's really good to hear. CD Illusions in the middle lane will be taken out. And we see the Hellborn side grouping up once again. So they still have the token available on Corrupted Disciple for another minute and a half, and I really like this decision, obviously. Want to make as much use of it as possible. You have one mid-rax already. You might as well continue to push it. And these three cores on the Hellborn side are very difficult to take out. They're all quite tanky. Two of them obviously melee heroes. Rhapsody with the initiation. The Staccatos there. Misery actually going to miss the charge. Release Kraken goes onto the Tempest. He gets tableted out though, and they're diving this really, really hard. That might not be the greatest decision. All of a sudden, Kraken's dead. Corrupted Disciple is running in. Again, nobody's popping Shrunken Heads for reasons I don't understand. Misery died without using his. St. Rox is also going to fall. And CD still has not used his Shrunken. For him, it makes more sense because he has a Token of Life, which he's going to use right there. And his positioning is actually okay. Drunken Master trying to chase on the Monkey King. Nice vault over the trees, actually. He should be just fine. Eruption's there. Gonna pop the Shrunken and run away, but did he just cancel his TP on purpose? I don't think there's anything else that could have stopped it. Maybe the Tempest Hole, I guess. But at the very least, you gotta force him to use that Tempest Hole, man. There's no other thing that can no. Well, Drunken Master's done. Never mind, it's fine. That was really bad. That was really, really bad. And again, I don't understand why this team is not using their Shrunken Heads. I don't understand when they dove right there. That was incredibly stupid, but please, just use your Shrunken Heads at the beginning of a fight. Kill people before they can get their spells off, and then you don't have to worry about their spells. Hey, look, Shuriken's back. Sorry. Yeah, it's just mildly frustrating, because they've been doing it repeatedly, and it's like, just hit the Shrunken Head button. Hit it! Valkyrie, by the way, has turned her Thunderclaw into a Firebrand as well, and Cookie's at 362 GPM. That's pretty closely matched by Pingu, who's finished off a Shrunken course quite a while now, as well as a Soul's Bulwark. So his damage output is pretty solid, and he'll be able to take a lot of damage. I still don't particularly agree with the Shrunken Head pick up here on Drunken Master, just because there isn't that much magic damage, to be honest, and honestly, I feel like a tablet would do way more for him in terms of survivability than the Shrunken Head. They already have one, two, in fact, but that's not an argument for him getting a tablet so much as it is an argument for him not getting a Shrunken Head, despite the fact that he already has one. I mean, he could be most of... If he didn't have a Shrunken Head right now, he could have a Behemoth's Heart, and if he had a Behemoth's Heart, he'd be really, really difficult to kill. Anyway, Miz, we're going to get caught in the top lane. Blazing Strike is there as well. He gets the Shrunken Head off. Drunken Master going to get the stun, though. Nice tablet out of the Kraken ulti. Lava Surge going to miss. And we'll see if they can actually kill Misery right here. Shrunken Head has worn off. Rep Disciple with some support. Going to cause the Legion side to back on out. Valkyrie Prism activated as well to make it harder to chase. And Pyromancer will just TP on away as Pingu cleans up some farm here. The entire Legion side is moving to that top lane, by the way, trying to get a pick off onto the Initiator. Yeah, if you're not initiating, Shrunken Heads are hard to time, but they have been. In particular, I mean, there was an instance where Kraken jumped on top of Magnus while he was ulting and didn't pop his Shrunken Head. Just pop your Shrunken Head. He didn't get stunned. He actually had the charge on Magnus, but he got it after the eruption went off. And he took, you know, a quarter of his life because he didn't pop his Shrunken Head. The Hellborn are initiating, they're just not, like, they dove way far. And they didn't pop Shrunken. For CD, it made more sense because he had a token, so he wanted to make sure to save his Shrunken until after he used his token. But for Kraken, it was just very silly. Misery needs to get his Shrunken Head off in these fights. Anyway, Drunken Master can get found right here, so Shrunken Head not going to matter for him so much. He will use it anyway, and maybe I spoke too soon. Maybe it will matter for him, actually, yeah. They may have lost that kill because of a Shrunken Head. Anyway, enough with the magic community. Magnus picking up an Arcana right here, and presumably that's a Hellflower. So, that's an interesting choice right there. It's going to be very problematic for Monkey King, of course, because he does like to jump around these team fights, so I'm not particularly surprised that he hasn't gotten an Nullstone, but I'm a little surprised because they have a number of targeted spells that'd be really nice to block. Monkey King has in fact bought a Hellflower on top of his SH and Helm, so he's reasonably tanky, including from magic damage, which again the Legion side has a lot of, and he'll be very annoying to deal with for a lot of these heroes in the Legion team. Untouchable going to potentially prevent that Hellflower, but if the Hellflower comes out first, then Drunken Master will die very quickly. There's a lot of mobility that's necessary on these Legion team, and they really are heavily dependent on casting spells, so it's a bit of a problem. Meanwhile, Corrupted Disciple on the top lane going to get jumped and killed really quickly, so I think probably Shrunken Head there, Plato. No, he couldn't have. Shut up, Stu. I always have to tell Stu to shut up, even when he's not casting. It's horrible. Rhapsody? Okay, PK's away. That was a little dangerous. But it looks like RmR going to try to counteract on top lane. Corrupted Disciple does not have a buyback, and they should be realizing that pretty quickly considering he's not using it. It looks like the Hellborn will be trying to back them off a little bit. Cookie's continuing to fire from the low ground. Kraken Charge not going to connect. And the 3-man Lava Surge actually is their arrow right in onto Glacius. Tempest going to lock a bunch of heroes down. Rhapsody Ultimate is available though. They will finally kill her, but Mop, of course, she stops a ton of damage. But Bolt's Apart's going to die right here. Looks like Tower's going to fall as well. And the Racks are not in a great place.
The Hellborn Barracks are liquidated. The Hellborn Barracks.
Yeah, so all of a sudden, looks like RmR coming back in a big way in this game. And going to take top racks. They're going to look to rotate to the middle lane as well. Both supports still dead for another 30 seconds. And that's actually a fair bit because Rhapsody's pretty well geared with her Portal Key and Astrolabe combination. Even Glacius can do a lot of damage with his ultimate. They're going to try to find the initiation here, but Misery once again finally gets a Shrunken, but he's almost dead anyway. It doesn't matter. He's going to survive, but just barely. No, he's going to get picked up by Tempest. Nope, he won't. Meanwhile, Legion team's falling in the background. Both Pingu and Cookies die. There's a TP or a Lava Surge and PK away from the Magmus. All of a sudden, Tempest is dead, so that fight turned around really, really quickly when Corrupted Disciple got back in there. And I think it would have been even better if Misery had gotten his Shrunken Head off early. Pyroman's going to get chased down by Cookies and the Monkey King right here. He's going to hit the Dragonfire stun onto Monkey King, but I don't know if he's actually going to have the capacity to get out of this. He needs help from Magmus, which he's going to find, so there's a Lava Surge right there. And they're going to put some decent damage in onto MK. Valkyrie Prism also activated. There's a Bound Die, by the way, on Pyromancer, so he really doesn't want to die. But they sort of want to get this counter kill. Wanjin Slam is not going to be enough. Magmus has a stun back up, but all of a sudden there's 3 heroes now, 4 heroes here from the Hellborn side. Pyromancer's going to fall and drop the Bound Die right there. Tempest's going to pick it up. Shrunken Head's going off all over the place as Qzane also falls. Staff looking for an ultimate. Actually doesn't even have an ultimate, so what am I talking about? Cookie's popping the Geometer's Bane, and Ghost Illusion's going to do some damage. Meanwhile, they're trying to chase down this Drunken Master, but Monkey King going in the exact wrong direction. And it looks like Pingu will be able to get out of there successfully. He doesn't have a teleport, though, so that could be a bit of a problem. So this game is turning around and turning around and turning around as both teams take really bad team fights. All of a sudden, Rhapsody to catch out Drunken Master. Do they have enough follow-up to catch him and kill him? It doesn't look like it. He will be able to head top, pick up a support, or maybe we'll just go straight to the top lane. That's also possible. Yeah, I felt like if they had just gotten out of there, they could have done a lot more, but they apparently weren't watching Corrupted Disciple's cooldown timer. CD not using his conduit? Yeah. He should use it. It's difficult for him to get off a good one, though. Arrow going to hit right on the face of Misery. And Drunken Master coming in here, popping the Shrunken, looking for the initiation, trying to lock down this Corrupted Disciple. Release the Kraken's there, onto 2 heroes. In fact, Lava Surge can help finish off Saint Rocks as he got a decent ultimate off. Forgotten One is dead, so it's a support for support trade right now. Glacial Downpour doing a lot of damage down here, but it looks like Nightmare's still going to fall. Qzane also going to get picked off by Misery, who has popped his Shrunken Head, so that's nice. Nice Shrunken as well from CD. That'll block the call of the Valkyrie and keep him alive. The Electric Tide, excuse me, does a good bit of damage to this Drunken Master, and they'll finish off Monkey King right there, as the stuns are too strong. Arrow getting thrown once again in Misery's direction, but he'll be able to Portal Key away and he'll be fine. So another one fight there for the Legion side. They will protect their bottom racks, and I don't think they're going to get too much out of this though, as Monkey King is dead, but he has a buyback, and the rest of the Hellborn side's cores are still alive, of course. So Kongor, I suppose, is a possibility. but they don't feel particularly safe about taking it. And you look at the vision situation, you can see why. There is no sight whatsoever for the Legion side on this map at all. The Forgotten One has no wards available, and he's... Pyro does have under 50 CS as a Pyro, so that's good. Anyway, the warding situation is real bad here for the Legion side, and that's something I didn't notice before, but they are almost entirely out of buybacks. Pingu has no buybacks, Magmus has no buybacks, Cookies has no buybacks, and Bunny General, aka Staff, on the Tempest has only the one. Pyromancer's got two, but something tells me those Pyro buybacks are less valuable than the rest of his team, so we're actually in a situation right now that is a little bit more dire for RmR than I initially thought, as if they lose a team fight right here, they could quickly lose the game. Hellborn need to be a little more diligent about making sure that they have buyback, and Cookies isn't doing that. Did Misery just rebuy his Shrunken? Yep. I really don't like that decision. Maybe he thinks he's full slotted. He's got a bottle, so I don't understand why he could possibly think that, and he could pass the bound eye to somebody else, namely one of the supports. It'd be a little bit more risky, but his item slot is more valuable than that. And I mean, that was literally just like a waste of, 1,700 gold. Now, CD, the Valkyrie Prism is active. The Bound Eye is in there from Kraken, though, and actually the Prism going to wear up on a nice Shrunken to start the fight. And Misery going to pop his. No, he's going to get stunned right there. Rhapsody Ultimate, saving a lot of damage. Ruption goes through, but again, Shrunken heads off all over the place, and nobody's dead quite yet, but there goes Magmus and Valkyrie and the Tempest. All of a sudden, things looking really bad. Drunken Master also going to fall, and yeah, that's game. There's no buybacks on anybody on the Legion side. Yeah, I know I keep talking about Shrunken Heads, but they're really valuable in this game, especially for the Hellborn team. If they can block Shrunken... I mean, look, Valkyrie went Thunderclaw, too. And Pingu doesn't have too much damage because he went Breastplate, so he's focused mostly on armor reduction and attack speed. He doesn't have a shield breaker or anything like that, so their physical damage output is really minimal. So it is, and they're like I talked about in the beginning, they have a lot of stuns. So if they get Shrunken Heads off here on the Hellborn side, it's going to be much easier for them to win these fights. But yeah, I think that might be game right there. Pyromancer and Tempest trying to do something. Tempest using his second and final buyback. Oh, and forgot one's dead. And GG's being called right there by the guys on RmR. This one's going to finish the old-fashioned way as the shrine falls. So. Well, okay. That's a thing that happened. Night Raid wins game 2. Sorry, I'm taking a moment to collect my thoughts right there because I don't know why, but I spaced really hard all of a sudden. But anyway, it's going to be a series tie, that means, and we're going to be going to a game 3 right here as the guys on RmR managed to lose game 2 because, well, I mean, they had a decent draft, to be honest. I don't think it was that so much. They just lost the landing phase really, really hard, and they came back, in a decent manner. They definitely had the opportunity to win that, but then throwing it a little bit as well in the mid as they were trying to take a second lane of racks, but the Corrupt Disciple was back up, and the rest of the Hellborn side was ready and able to fight, so couple of poor decisions right there in that last fight. Fighting uphill into a Corrupted Disciple, I get that they wanted to make that pick, but they didn't know who was around because, again, no vision on the map, and you probably can't take that sort of risky engagement when you have no buybacks. You need to be much more careful and safe if you're going to try to win at that point, because I think that was their, we take this fight, we win game type of push, and maybe it would have worked if they did it, but again, all of NR had buybacks, so maybe it wouldn't have, and certainly didn't the way they played it, as they all died. So RmR going to have to go back to the winning ways of Game 1 if they want to take out a series victory here and move on with a chance to advance to Diamond Division. That is what's on the line right now. And Night Raid, well back into the series after the first game. You would have thought they're going to bow out quite quickly, but showing they have some fight here, I think getting Misery back and putting him back in that captain role was very helpful for them. 16, 5, and 20. Had an absolutely dominating game, obviously was a huge factor in shutting Pingu down in that bottom lane, and considering he came back to 371 GPM, if he hadn't had such a poor start, it's pretty easy to imagine RmR walking away with this one as well, with a farmed up Drunken Master helping to carry them to victory. So, well played nonetheless to Night Raid, and looks like we'll be moving on to a game 3 in just a moment, so stick around guys, we'll be back soon.